Hey guys, so I thought I'd start this little series here, sort of like a news update or something, a gaming news update or something. It's basically just to get my gaming opinions out and at the same time maybe get some info out to you guys that you might have missed throughout the last few weeks. So the content I'm going to put out are mostly going to be focused on the games and hardware I'm generally interested in. And also, since this is a one-on-one channel, as I'd like to call it, I won't go too much into detail, especially if I start going into hardware stuff. I'm not really an expert on those things. So I'm thinking I can get this out every first weekend of every month, unless things in real life get in the way. Anyway, let's start it off. So for this week, I am going to talk about the GTX 970 issue, some gaming music you might be interested in, and some new games and updates that are due pretty soon. Alright, so let's talk about the GTX 970 fiasco. Well, it's not really that big a deal. But anyway, most of you have already heard of the issues surrounding NVIDIA's sweet 970 release. The card itself has been seen as the best card or GPU around its price range, and it still pretty much is. It beats the 290X in most gaming scenarios and is more efficient power-wise and runs much cooler compared to AMD's offering. So being an R9 290 user myself, it's the MSI gaming version I'm using, I have to admit that I wish I had something like that in my rig. And to be honest, I'm actually considering replacing my existing card because I'd like to get a cooler GPU for my system and I am experiencing some issues with the fan. But basically, for those of you that don't know, what is the issue in a nutshell? So basically, the major issue is the card was basically sold and marketed as a 4GB card, and it really is a 4GB card. Now the problem is that it wasn't clearly stated how the whole GPU memory was set up. It's actually segmented into a 3.5 GB and a 500 MB portion with a smaller VRAM space reportedly being slower. Now, I don't think the average PC gamer and even some of the single monitor enthusiasts are going to be able to push VRAM usage to 3.5 GB. But in case you do push your PC to the very edge, there might be some stuttering or performance drops once your GPU starts accessing more than 3.5 GB. In addition to that, some specs were not as accurate as what was listed originally, like the ROP count and the L2 cache size. So for in-depth reading, check out the articles from AnandTech and Guru 3D. I'll leave links in the description below this video. But in my opinion, the way I see this whole thing, and without getting into, being too technical, the issue won't be a problem for most PC gamers actually. If you're running on a 1080 resolution and a single monitor setup with all the eye candy, including AA turned on, you won't have many issues with the Team Green card. If you're running a single panel, a 1080 panel with high refresh rates, you'd still get butter smooth frames with liquid smooth graphics. Even at 1440 or QHD resolutions, which is what I'm playing at, this won't even be an issue based on the stuff I'm seeing. Like I run Dragon Age Inquisition at 1440. I tried maxing out every single detail minus except for MSAA. I set that to 2. The graphics memory I used up was only about the highest I observed was around 2600. So yeah, I never even came close to 3 GB. So I think the issue is going to rear its ugly head once you start doing triple monitors, you run crappy console ports or play your games modded to the max, like what some I read up on for Skyrim players. They really mod their textures to really ridiculous high levels. So in those scenarios, GPUs or any video card will eventually start to need more RAM, and that's pretty much where you might get frustrated. A performance drop is a performance drop, and you can't really change that. As I mentioned, but still, as I mentioned, the 970 is still an amazing buy for most gamers at this very moment. But if you're like me, a gamer who's always budget conscious, you'd want to squeeze out every bit out of your card before replacing it. So, if you are considering the GTX 970, just think of how long you plan on holding on to it. Think of the gaming setup you have right now, and think of the gaming setup you might, plan ahead. Basically the gaming setup you want to have in the months and the years to come, and the kind of games you eventually want to play. If you want to be safe, you can still pick the 290, 290X. Just note that the card normally runs hotter unless you're using a good non-reference cooler. It's also less efficient power-wise. Well, of course, if cache isn't a problem, I don't think you would be even considering any of the 290s or the 970s as a single card setup. Those things would have been beneath you anyway. You'd probably be rocking a 980, dual 980s, or maybe even a 295. So again, it's not really a big deal. It's not a big issue, depending on your current setup. But just make sure you read up on the games that you want to play. If you expect that you'll be using a whole lot of video memory, then maybe the GTX 970 is something you really have to think about before buying it. Okay, so on to some games. Not a game in specifically. One of the things I like about recent games is the way they've spent so much more money on the music or the background music that goes into it while you're playing the games. And one of the things I like in most RPGs is the Tavern Songs. So, if you've played Dragon Age Inquisition or still playing it, most people consider it the best RPG for 2014. And I'm not even halfway through it, but so far the story is great. The graphics are awesome. I really like it in 1440. It must be amazing in those high ratios, those 21:9 monitors, or those ultra wide ones, or even the 4K setup. So they must look really great. The combat's pretty good. It's not the best, but it's good. And overall, the product, the game itself, has just been really packaged nicely. So, as I mentioned, music. So one of the things that's great about the Dragon Age Inquisition is its voice acting and music. So the voice actors are top notch. The music can really get you into the game. So if you do like Tavern Songs, you've got about 3-something days to download them for free before BioWare puts a price on them. That free download for the Tavern Songs from the game itself, there's about 10 tracks of easygoing bard music with even music sheets to go with them. So they're all this for free. So just in case you're interested in gaming music and you want to be able to download some Tavern Songs from the game, check the link in the description below this video so you can download them. Right, more gaming news. So, or gaming tidbits that I've learned. In case you haven't heard, Guild Wars 2 is coming out with a new expansion called Heart of Thorns. So I haven't played Guild Wars 2 in a while, but one good thing about it is that I can always jump back into the game since it is buy to play. So I'm just free to log back in whenever I want, as long as the client's updated. Anyway, Heart of Thorns promises a whole lot of new content and updates to the game. So this includes a mastery system. From how I understand it, it allows you to progress your character beyond level 80 without raising the level cap. And this reminds me that I gotta get my Mesmer out of level 60, the one you're seeing on the screen right now. She's been stuck there forever. And as with most MMO expansions, it promises a new zone called Heart of Maguma, and I hope I said that right, which you can explore. So this new zone basically adds new storylines, group content, and new boss fights. Guilds, for those who are really serious into it, they can now establish guild halls, so I'm curious as to how they're going to implement that. You also have PvP-wise, you will have a new Stronghold game mode and a new World v World map. It also allows, the expansion will also allow you to put in specializations, which allows you to further customize your profession, which adds new weapons to use, stuff like that. So basically, it's like you can evolve your character differently and not just be stuck in one profession or one class. So that sounds pretty good. Anyway, so ArenaNet wants to implement a beta test system before saying anything about a release date. So I've been trying to search out for that date, but yeah. Supposedly they want to get player inputs before flagging the game as ready for release. So for all of you who have Guild Wars 2, so that's something to look out for. Okay, so more MMO stuffs. ESO, or Elder Scrolls Online. Basically, I've always wanted to get back into it. The only reason I unsubbed some months back is that because of that PvP frame rate drop issue that I was having. And well, I guess the other reason is that I subbed back into World of Warcraft just before Draenor launched. Anyway, as of next month, ZeniMax and Bethesda will be rebranding a portion of the game title to Tamriel Unlimited, and they'll be taking off the required monthly sub, so that's a yay. Anyway, ESO will now be a buy-to-play game just like Guild Wars 2. So it will offer a cash shop with a currency called crowns and optional premium-based subscriptions. So smaller content in the form of DLCs or downloadable content will eventually come out, and they need to be purchased via crowns or through the crowns currency. So this model is very much modular in that you can purchase the content you want. So just check the video description below for the link to the full FAQ. About premium subs, of course, they get the usual bonuses. So for example, experience boost, much like the Old Republic, that Star Wars MMO, and some other, it's also similar to other free-to-play or buy-to-play games. They also get easier access to DLCs as they are allocated crowns automatically on a monthly basis. So former subs like myself do get some crowns, but not as much as the running subs. So the cash shop so far on the PTR is looking like it's basically just vanity items, some mounts and stuff like that. So far I'm hoping it stays that way and nothing really pay to win. There are no items there that are just pay to win. Anyway, I'm not sure whether it was the low sub numbers which caused the buy-to-play format, but I think it also makes sense given that they're also launching ESO for consoles this June, if I'm not mistaken. Consoles won't have a monthly sub except for what they normally pay for PSN or Xbox Live, so I could be wrong since I don't play on a console. In any case, I recently updated my client and looking forward to the 17th of March to get back into Tamriel for free. Okay, so the last bit I just want to add here is that it's not an MMO, it's a single player game. If you were a fan of Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale in my case, some years back, this was a really long time ago, here's something you might like. So Pillars of Eternity will be coming out on the 26th of March. So it's Pillars of Eternity is very much like those Baldur's Gate games. So Obsidian promises to be faithful basically to the isometric RPG style of Baldur's, and it's from the gameplay reviews, it even has that old school art style feel to it. Just search it out on the web. I can't help but feel, watching those videos, I can't help but feel that sort of tug in my chest watching those teasers. The isometric play is still, very interesting in my opinion. Some things they've changed, and this is just of what I've read and seen, is that you won't get any experience from combat. Your class can sort of evolve from a basic spec, so the fighter spec you can evolve into something else. And one thing this is interesting. It seems like so far from what I'm reading is that you're not restricted to a specific armor type. So let's see how that one plays out. I gotta say that for this one, this is pretty exciting for me. And I'm hoping that it really does invoke, just brings back that old charm of Baldur's and Icewind. But I'm also hoping that for newer gamers, those that haven't seen those older games, I hope they can get younger RPG players or gamers interested. And that's it for this episode, for this monthly series I'm hoping to start. So I hope you liked it, and I hope you found it interesting. Maybe you found something about some of the games I mentioned that you want to jump back into it, or just learn more about it. So anyway, just leave a comment below if you have suggestions or comments about what this sort of series I'm trying to start. And also like this video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, guys.